Okay, following up on the theme of streamlined development, our next speaker will show us a way to integrate generative AI. She's a Google developer expert and will reveal how to build truly zero backend AI applications using Firebase. Please welcome Ida Delphine with her session Building Truly Serverless AI Apps with Firebase AI Logic. Let's start.
Yay, thank you.
When you are sharing, feel free to share your screen.
Okay. I think I'll just share like my entire screen because I'll be switching between various tabs. So I hope that works. Um, yeah. Okay. Cool.
Visible?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect. Visible.
Hi everyone. Ida Delphine. I'm a software engineer. I'm currently a full-time student pursuing a master's in software engineering with cloud computing here in London. I'm also a Google developer expert in Google Cloud. I was previously a GDG organizer, and I'm also a Women Technicals ambassador, and I'm excited to be here to present to you a talk on building truly serverless AI applications with Firebase AI Logic. So for a start, I really appreciate if you like get your computers ready because this is going to be a hands-on session. I've created a GitHub repo um, with a very detailed README. So here's the GitHub repo. You can check it out. Here's a readme. So you could just go through it, but yeah, so I will expect you to clone this repo so you can follow up with me in the coming sections. So yeah, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, so before when you want to build or even still now, ideally when you want to build like a Gen AI application, you are supposed to like the traditional method expects you to like set up like a backend server, and from there you like make a call to the Gemini API, and then you create endpoints where your client application is supposed to connect to in order for it to access AI application access like the Gemini API, for instance. And this is actually very time consuming and annoying because I just remembered an experience I had like last year when I was trying to build. Um, I was actually in a competition. I don't know if you recall. During Google I/O last year, there was the Gemini API competition which was announced, and I wanted to build like this Android app that an Android AI application for video editing, and the AI features was supposed to work with the Gemini API. So I was using Android. I was building like a native Android app. So I was dealing with Kotlin, and it was. I remember how annoying it was for me to like set up like a separate backend server in Python. I wasn't even in the mood to write Python. Not that I don't know how to write Python, just I wasn't in the mood. Plus, I wanted to really focus on the video editing aspect of the app as well, in as much as um, the app is an AI app and the AI part of it is like a core feature. The other features in my Android application I wanted to focus on, and it was really annoying having to switch between different technologies, different tech stacks, and different languages. So when Firebase AI Logic came about and it was a thing, I was so excited because that just relieved. I mean, that has just relieved me even in my current and future projects. Just the fact that um, I can do everything within my app and I don't need an external server or an external backend or have to set up an external server. Like that's just amazing. So yeah, like this is like the architecture of the traditional setup where you have like the server in between the client and the developer API and Gemini, which you can access either through the developer API or Vertex API on the Google Cloud platform. And you are expected to like deploy this backend with which accesses like Gemini. So now we are focused on removing this and letting you access Gemini within your client apps, and we are going to get to that. So yeah, we needed to build a backend server, and you had to build, deploy, and manage a separate server just to call the API. How redundant is that? Like, why can't you just call it directly from your client? Why do you have to like create a separate server just for that? And yeah, you had to also deal with securing your API keys, which is also like, and if you make a mistake and your API keys get leaked, that's a problem. So that's another problem that we faced. Um, Writing API calling logic, all of that was just like unnecessary. And yeah, what happens if your app scales? You still have to worry about scaling the server, and like there was just a lot that got into something so small that could just be a tiny part of your application. So yeah, what if we didn't need a backend at all? What if we could access the Gemini API through your client application without any middleman? And yeah, the solution is Firebase AI Logic. So it's an easy way to add Gemini into your mobile or web apps into production. And this is just the basic architecture. So you have the Firebase client SDKs. So whether you're a web developer or mobile app or iOS, whatever, um, so there are SDKs for every language. We have the SDK for JavaScript, Kotlin, Dart or Flutter, Swift, Java, even is it Unity? I cannot recall. Yeah, there are SDKs for different languages. And using those SDKs, you are going to make a call directly to the Gemini API without like creating a backend. So you just have to like install the SDKs into your the respective SDKs into your app, into the app that you're building, and yeah, it can directly make a call to the Gemini API via Firebase AI Logic, which we'll get to that. So yeah, so how is it secure? So your app calls the Firebase SDK. The SDK calls a secure proxy service, and then the proxy service injects your API key into the server and forwards the call. And your API key never leaves Google's backend. That's a cool thing about it. And one more thing, so you can also like integrate Firebase app check into your app in order to like block unauthorized clients. That is, if a request from somewhere that is not recognized by you is coming into your app, that can be blocked. So that's also a very cool feature. And this doesn't even scratch the surface of all the capabilities that Firebase can offer to your app. This is just like a very tiny part of the capabilities of Firebase, and lots of these other features are out of the scope of this. But I really recommend like you explore other features within your Firebase console. So yeah, these are the key capabilities of Firebase AI Logic. It's multimodal, so you can send text, images, audio, all that to the Gemini. There's built-in state management. You should go through the docs in order to really learn more about this. You can access the image gen. I call it imagine because it's cooler. Like, yeah, it's cooler than image gen, but whatever. So you can access like the image models to edit images and stuff. And there's also tool use, right, function calling, where you can make calls to external APIs. So this is like, you can see that it's really awesome and it really reduces your work. So now let's build. So I went across like the GDG Ahlen page, and I saw something interesting, right? So um something about you guys having ties to like mammoths, and I thought, okay, like cool, it would be nice to like create this this sort of app just a very small or simple application for GDG Ahlen, where like and it's based off DevFest, right? So you can like, I've actually got screenshots of some of these sessions, right? So you can take a screenshot of like a slide, right, that the presenter was presenting with some sort of diagram or something, and then you upload the image into the application and ask the application to explain it to you or what's going on. Let's say you are confused about a certain concept, and then you screenshot it and you upload it into the application, and then you ask. So it's supposed to like give you a response, right, about what's going on there. But the persona is the persona of like a very ancient mammoth. So that was the idea. And I'm going to give you a very tiny assignment. So at the moment, the app responds with text, but your assignment is to make it or add the feature which is going to like respond with audio. So yeah, that's a very cool assignment for you. And it should like really take the persona, it should as well take the persona of the mammoth. So yeah. So yeah, so this is the app we are going to build, an intelligent companion for DevFest Ahlen, and it's simple. You upload a screenshot of any speaker slide. This is what the app looks like on my right, and you ask it a question, right? It should summarize this. It should explain the diagram, and get an answer in the voice of a wise ancient mammoth. So this is a flow. You capture and upload, and then you prompt, and then it responds. It responds. So one of the first things you want to also think about is the system prompt, which is basically like the persona, or let's say the personality, or I don't know if vibe is the right word, but yeah, more like the personality or the character, right? So you are telling the you're telling Gemini how it should respond. Yes, it's basically how it should respond. So it's very important that you state this whenever you're like sending requests to Gemini. It's very important that you define the system prompt, and then together with that system prompt, when the user inputs their prompt, it's going to give you the desired response. So for a start, we are going to set up our Firebase project and connect to, the first step is we set up our Firebase project, we connect our web application to it, and then we finish the rest within our app. So let's go to the Firebase console. Can you see like my console?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we are going to create, oh, and you can also follow up, like there's literally everything I'm talking about here. It's here, and I'm going to copy some code from here to complete it. So this is a very detailed guide that I created. So you should definitely check it out. So yeah, let's go to our Firebase console. We are going to call it um and then just create the name. Okay, yes, you can leave that on. You can turn this off. It's not really necessary for this. And then, yeah, it's going to create our project. And by the way, also clone the repo as you can see here. Can you see my code, by the way? So that, I don't know. Can you see?
Yes, Visual Studio Code visible also.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is my code. So you can also clone your repo so that we can code together. Cool. So my app has been created. And then for the next thing we are going to do, so yeah, this is a build tab here, and there's so many cool features you can check out. Just that is beyond the scope of this. So we are going to go to the AI tab, and then we click on AI Logic, and then we hit Get Started. And we are going to choose the Gemini API. So we'll get started with this, and then we enable this. I don't know what's going on. Cool. Okay, it's enabled. I got scared for a second. Um, AI monitoring, not really necessary for this. And then we are going to pick this. So since it's a web application, if it was a Flutter app, you're going to pick that. So we also give it a name. And oh, you can set up Firebase app hosting where it's just like where you can like access the application on the web, right? It's not going to be like local host and you can share it with your friends. But again, that's beyond the scope of this. So we are just going to register the app. But if you're looking forward to deploying your application, then you can use Firebase app hosting. And another cool thing with Firebase app hosting is you can set up like your custom domain, right? Because if you create like a basic app hosted with Firebase app hosting, there will be some generic dot, I've forgotten like the domain name it's going to use, but it's going to be some generic app Firebase app hosting domain name. But if you want like something custom, then you can like set up your domain name with Firebase app hosting, and it's very easy. So we register the application, and from there now we are going to get our credentials. So yeah, so you get this and you need it in your app. So yes, if you've not installed Firebase, you copy this and then in your terminal you run the npm install. So now looking at our instructions here, and even in the code, it's in the even in our presentation we have it. But anyways, I'll prefer this. So looking at our instructions here, we are going to now connect our web application. We are going to complete our code considering the fact that we just connected our web application to Firebase. So now we are going to now use this SDK alongside these credentials. These credentials are what identifies like this web application we've created on Firebase, so they're very important. So we are going to run to our just to be sure again, though everything is in our like package.json, I'm just going to run the npm install command again. Yep, it has been installed. And we are going to create, let me be sure about what we are supposed to create. The file name. Okay, so in our source folder, we are going to create Firebase config, a Firebase config dot TypeScript file. So and there it is. So here is some code. So I'm just going to copy this. So this is what we are going to add. And it's just basically this code is the Firebase initialization and the um, Firebase and the Gemini initialization. So I'm just going to copy this and paste inside here. And then I'll go back to my Firebase backend here. Nope, I'll just copy this part. This is all what I need. Yeah. Okay, so you can see within the Firebase config, there's an API key, auth domain, project ID, all of those stuff. And then down here, you can see where we initialized Firebase, and then we added the Firebase config object into our initialized application. And also we initialized the Gemini API backend. And then now we now get like the model, right? So we also initialize the model, and we are going to pick Gemini 2.5 Pro. But I recommend 2.5 Flash because it's more faster and lightweight for something like this. This is not like a very complicated task to need the Pro model. But yeah, we also initialize the model, and then we pass in the AI backend into it alongside the model, like the model name. So this is it for our Firebase config file. And I didn't even show you like the demo, like just for now the code is like some boilerplate code. So um where is the terminal? Okay, so let me just show you how it's supposed to act. Though for now it's not like it's just hard coded values that are there. So if I upload like so this is how the app will look like. This is a screenshot. Okay, okay, this is a screenshot that I took today. um Let me ask it what's happening. So this is just how it's supposed to work. It's not going to give like a response from Gemini now, but it has just given like a very generic, a hard coded response to just I'm just showing you how the app works. So it's like curious developer approaches the ancient mammoth. You can think about it like in the accents. I cannot like say it in the persona, but you can imagine how this sounds. What secrets do you seek in these slight markings? You get. So yeah, so yeah, that's just basically how it's supposed to work. So let's go back and complete the application. um okay, we're here now. Let's we set up the config file. And now let's oh, and one more thing. So since your Gemini API key is in this, by the way, I'll delete this application just in case somebody tries to steal my API key. But yeah, so um make sure that you can put this file in a .env file, or ideally the file doesn't necessarily have to be in a .env file, but you can take your important credentials, especially the Gemini, the API key, and put in a .env file, and then you make sure you git ignore it, and then you substitute it with like the environment variable here. So please do not share your API keys or your credentials. Just put them in like a git ignore. Yeah, so that's just like a note. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to import the model into our main application here. So um, here we go. Again, like I said, this demo is just like for a web application, but you can still use Firebase AI Logic. You can just like, if you're building a Flutter app or iOS app or some other application, you just need to like get the SDK for the programming language, and then yeah, you just integrate it into your application. It's really that simple. So yeah, for the next thing we want to do now, we want to like handle the submit, right? When you upload the image and then you hit that submit button, what happens? So that's what we are trying to do now. So I'll just copy this as well. um, so yeah, this is the handle submit. And then I'm just going to paste it here. Cool. So yeah, when the app is, so you can see, right, we have like the variables declared, the prompt which uses the use state hook in React. It's initially empty, but the user later puts it, updates the prompts, and then same with the image, the response. Yeah, it's just a very simple application. So the important parts that we really want to look into is like um, when the user like this is what happens. So this is a function that encodes the image into a format that the Gemini API is going to understand. So this is just basic. I'm not really sure what's here to explain, but it basically encodes it into like a base 64 format for which the Gemini API will understand. So it returns the encoded string and then the file type. So it's going to be a PNG, yes, a PNG file. So that's what it basically returns, like for the Gemini API to consume. And then yeah, so when you click handle submit, it checks if there's a prompt and an image. If it's not there, then it's going to tell you to input either of them. And then here, so when all of that is done, um you can see the persona, right? The persona prompts where, or let's say the system prompts, and it says you're a wise ancient mammoth from Ahlen, Germany, and you are attending DevFest Ahlen. A developer has shown you a slide from a presentation and asked you a question. Respond to them in your persona as a wise, slightly grumpy but helpful mammoth. Keep your response concise and helpful. Here, here is the question, and you can see there's a semicolon here, and then so you can just assume that the next thing after, like, here is a question, is going to be the input prompt from the user, which we are going to append. And you can see here that it's appended. So when the user updates that prompt variable that we declared up there, it's going to append it to the full prompt, which will be used now by the Gemini API. And also, if there is an image, right, so it's an asynchronous function, so it's going to like wait and get that image. So it's going to like make a call to this our function here, which is encoding the image into a format that Gemini understand, a base 64 format. And then it's going to like add it, so it's going to like convert it to like a part. So in a part is like a part of a prompt. Sorry for defining a word with the word, but it's just basically like a portion of a prompt. So we have like the text part and then the image part here. So um you so this is like a stack, right? You can see we had the full prompt, right, which is inside, like, this is the full prompt, it's an array. We have added it here, and then the image partner will also push it into this array. And then now this is where now we call this method, the generate content method of the model instance. And then we now add the parts, we pass the parts into it, which contains the text part, which is basically the full prompts, right, which includes the system and the user prompts, as well as the image part, which is the base 64 encoded format of that image. And then you send it to the Gemini, and then when the response comes, you pass it into the response variable, and that's basically it. It's displayed to the user. So provided we have done everything right, this application, it should work. So yeah, let's put it to the test. Let me close this as well. Um, so fingers crossed it works, because there are times when you try to demo and it doesn't work. But literally minutes ago I tested it and it worked. Okay, so let me get same screenshot I took. Okay, this one on AI agents is a very good screenshot. And then I'll be like, okay, so I'm just like telling it I'm kind of confused, and it should tell me what's going on here in this image. So the image is on AI agent, so let's see what he has to say. So you can see it's thinking. That's cool. It has given us a response. Back in my ice age evolution, took millions of years. You youngsters do it on a slide. Fine. Look, it shows how your AI is getting smarter. First, it just talks, large language model plus prompt. Then it learns to look things up, retrieval or RAG. Then it gets hands to use tools. Then it gets a brain to reason and use many tools in a loop. Finally, you have a whole herd of them working together, multi-agent system. It's a simple progression from a talking rock to a coordinated tribe. Now stop staring and listen to the speaker. That's actually funny. So yeah, so that's just basically it, right? We have built a very simple multimodal AI application. Um, okay, yeah, with Firebase AI Logic. So as a very interesting assignment or homework, try like integrating, try using the Gemini Live API, yes, or the Gemini text to speech, such that the response that comes back will be in audio format. Or you can even make it more multimodal by integrating voice, right? Audio, such that you can input an audio, asking it a question with the image prompt, and then it gives you a response in audio. And the possibilities are endless with this. So yeah, you should like go through the documentation and see like the cool things you can build with this. But I find it so awesome that I don't need an external server for this, because for something so simple like this, before you need to create a separate server, probably in Python, or because I don't even think, was there even JavaScript? I'm trying to recall if there was JavaScript, because I remember last year it was just Python and maybe Go. I can't really recall, but I just think it's so awesome that now you don't really need to like code a different programming language or create an external application just because you want to like access Gemini. So yeah, I think this is a really cool app. And you could like see how you can add more features to it and make it even cooler and maybe use in your events. Okay, so that's it. Let I'm not done. So for those who want to steal my API key, I'm going to delete this. Let's go back to our presentation. So we've seen the code. So yeah, you did it. You've built a zero backend AI applications. Congratulations. Um, yeah, you can see secure API calls. There's no server and it's multimodal. So yeah, so these are some resources. Let me just share it with you in the slides. I mean in the chat. Um, okay, my dog is coming in the way. Oh my goodness. Anyways, I'll share the slides, but you should visit the Firebase AI Logic docs, the Gemini API docs for more. Yeah, so this is like um yeah, like there's just so much, like you can start from here. Like the setup, literally everything I did, I had to get it from here. Like everything is here. If you want to integrate text, chat, images, even videos, with videos, audio, like documents, literally anything you can think of. Streaming, bi-directional, like everything you could come check, even pricing, because you have to like also pay attention to that. So you can come here and like and read everything in the documentation before, not necessarily everything, but read what you need to read, and then you can like the possibilities are endless. That's just like the whole point. So yeah, so thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking. Once more, I'm a software engineer, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn to ask any questions. I'll be very happy to help. Thank you so much.